This video is sponsored by Texas Instruments. Here are 3 hands-on math lessons that you can try in your classroom. First is a shape building activity from a website that I love called U Cubed. It is a hands-on way to teach students to be able to convince someone else of their mathematical reasoning. Students are in groups of 4 and each group gets a string that is tied off to make a loop. They have a list of shapes that they're trying to make with their string, and everyone must have at least one hand on the rope. They can't untie the rope, and they have to use all of the rope to make the shape. And so once the students have actually made the shape with their string, we then have the discussion on what it means to convince someone that you indeed have made that shape. We talk about as mathematicians, you must first convince yourself. Do you believe that you have actually made this shape? Then you must be able to convince a friend, someone that maybe is going to probably just accept your justification because they care about you and they love you. And then we talk about convincing a skeptic, someone who may not be as easily swayed unless you have good mathematical reasoning. As a teacher, you get to play the role of the skeptic. And so you can ask questions like, how do you know that that's a square? How can you prove that these 2 segments are congruent? How can you prove that these angles are actually 90 degrees? You kind of get to play the role of a toddler that just keeps asking why or how do you know that? Students may justify their statement that it's a 90-degree angle by putting it up to the corner of a wall and showing like, well, if we can assume that this wall is 90 degrees, then that means this angle is also 90 degrees. And this is your opportunity to talk to students that mathematicians often make statements and then they justify those statements as a form of proof. Then after you do this for the rest of the year, you can continue to use this language like, can you convince me of that? Or what is your proof? I love ucubed.org. They have tons of activities like this, particularly in their week of inspirational math segment. And I will link to this particular lesson down in the description. Our second lesson is the 10 minutes of code with Texas Instruments calculators. These are really great entry points if you are wanting to begin to implement coding in a math or science classroom. The best place to get started with these is the TI codes section of the Texas Instruments education website. From there, your students can pick which programming language they would actually like to explore, either Python or TI Basic. I think TI Basic is a really good starting point for your first-time coders. And then you select which calculator you're going to be working on, whether it's any of these TI-84 Plus calculators or any of these TI Inspire CX calculators. I'm gonna jump into the one for the TI-84 Plus calculators. So you've got 2 10 minutes of code activities here. I'm gonna talk about the second one in just a bit, but let's click on this first one, which only requires your calculator. Students can begin working through these modules at their own pace. They have step-by-step guides with written instructions as well as screenshots of the actual calculator so students can ensure that they are actually programming it correctly. TI's made the coding on the calculator menu driven, which means that students can actually go through the menus of the different coding options and then select different portions of the code that they want to include. And so they don't have to physically type out each little letter or symbol of their code. And it allows students to be able to experiment with different coding prompts that maybe they haven't been introduced to yet while they are looking through those menu options and thinking like, oh, I wonder what this does. And within a few minutes, your students are able to actually code a border around their screen with a message in the middle of it. To take this coding that they're doing with their calculator to the next level, you can incorporate the TI Innovator Hub. This is where that second 10-minute of code segment comes in because these are all different codes that you can do with the calculator when it's attached to the Innovator Hub. Right off the bat, students are learning how to program a light to show up on the Innovator Hub for a few seconds. And within a few lessons, they are creating a traffic light program that makes sounds depending on what color light is showing. And as basic as that seems, there is this sense of accomplishment. Even me, someone who's taught coding in robotics before, it's like once I finally got to that level, it's like, all right, I got the light to show up with the sound that I wanted and overcame all these tiny little obstacles to get there is really satisfying. If your students are coding in TI Basic and would prefer to work on a computer interface rather than on the calculator, you can use the free TI Connect CE software to connect your calculator to the computer and then do the coding there. And that's where I found myself doing more of the coding, and that's the interface that I preferred. If you want to do even more in-depth mathematical programming lessons, you can implement the TI Innovator Rover. And then you've got the calculator connected to the Innovator Hub, which is connected to the rover. TI's got a bunch of lesson plans to guide you through these explorations with the rover, including their Drive the Line lesson, where they explore multiple representations of position, velocity, and time to write code that's gonna navigate a set of challenges. And they've also got one called the Two Rovers, which is one that we did a video on last year, which I think is a better way to teach the intersection of two linear functions in a really concrete and hands-on way. And so if you're already using these calculators, it's an easy way to start coding. And if you get the Innovator Hub and the rovers, those are things that can also be utilized in something like a makerspace or a robotics class. The third idea comes from Holly Clark, who posted something on how you can get students to create a TikTok showing what they have learned.
What? I thought TikTok was just all about kids dancing.
Let me show you one math TikTok or math talk to give you an example.
Crazy math tricks that you need to know, part 3.
If you are subtracting from a number with lots of zeros, here's an easy fast way to do it. First, -1 over here and over here, so this top number becomes 7999, and this bottom number becomes 3728, and then subtract as you would going from right to left. So 1, 7, 2, 4, and that will be your answer.
So as simple and as short as these videos can be, there's often a good amount of thought that goes into them. Creators have to think, how do I want to hook the viewer with something interesting within the first few seconds of the video? Notice the hook in this video.
Question 14. In the figure above, what is the value of x? So right here we have a, b,
The text that he adds right at the beginning provokes some kind of curiosity, like, oh, I wonder if I would have gotten this one wrong. Let me watch the rest to find out. Creators have to think, what value do I want to deliver in this TikTok? Is it gonna be information? Is it gonna be entertainment? Is it gonna be infotainment? Given the natures of these TikToks, they will be informative, but you don't have to dance to make them entertaining as well. Take a look at this clip.
If you take a strip of paper and form it into a loop, it's fairly predictable what you'll get if you cut it in half.
It keeps you engaged because even if you don't know what the Mobius strip is, having the visual of the strip there makes you wonder where is he going with this? This would not be nearly as engaging if it was just someone talking to the camera about the Mobius strip. Having students create a video in the style of TikTok gives them an opportunity to show what they know over giving them yet just another multiple choice assessment. You can do this on TikTok, but not all of your students may be on TikTok. Your students may be even too young to have a TikTok, or maybe you really don't want to have to download TikTok. And so I would recommend doing this activity in Microsoft Flip in what Holly calls a flip talk. She created this template that I'm gonna link down in the description, and it has students think through several of the things that I was mentioning a little bit earlier. And she even has them decide what their call to action or their CTA will be at the end of the video. And that's exactly what we do here on our YouTube channel. Your call to action is to take this quiz that we have created to help you learn what are the actual 21st century teacher skills that are your strength and which skills are the areas of growth for you. When you take the quiz, we will send you a personalized report giving you ideas of ways that you can continue to level up as a teacher.